Hey everyone, we're going to dive right in and go into the Reddit rabbit hole. Just as a disclaimer, I am not a licensed professional. Any advice or information that I give out on this show is strictly entertainment. So no newspaper 8615 says, my wedding's in a few months, female 22, male 26, and I don't know what to do. My fiance, 22, and I, male 26, have been together for about a year now, and our wedding is in a month. She has some mental health problems that she told me about a few months after we were together, but I didn't know the severity. Due to it being a Muslim marriage, we moved a lot quicker. Almost all families demand a marriage in the first 6 to 18 months, and always throughout thought a year was a sweet spot. I didn't know she needs 3 medications to be stable. She's the most caring wife and girlfriend I've ever met. But when she's on and off her meds, she's so abusive, and I really took some damage emotionally from her. A few months ago, she joined group therapy for 3 months, and a lot of it was getting better, and I was so happy, man. I asked her if she was on meds, and she said no. She was just working on herself because she knew she was the problem. She lied. She was on meds, eventually left group therapy and back to the old ways of damaging and abusing me. I wanted to leave her, and she claimed, you almost leaving me gave me a new perspective on life, and got back on her meds. She's much better now, but I'm hesitant. It was a big lie when she said she wasn't on meds. I thought the mental health journey was behind us. Now I'm pretty much finding out it just started, like 5 weeks before my wedding. She has BPD, bipolar, and anxiety. For anyone that knows these things, I would lose a lot of money from the wedding all if I leave her, but honestly, money isn't the problem here. I don't want to abandon her. I know she's a good person deep down. I would break so many hearts if I leave her. But if I stay this way, I know it'll end in divorce. Has anyone overcame something like this? Well, that's a lot. But I wouldn't say that I dealt with like the Muslim marriage thing, but I've definitely dealt with a relationship where the person was unstable, and obviously, unfortunately, that ended, and I'm glad it ended when it did, because again, like you, it was like, what's gonna happen in the future? Do I want to keep dealing with this forever? And I know that that's how a lot of us men think. Just, do you really want to deal with this long term? Can you manage your emotions? Can she manage hers? And unfortunately, there are some people out there that they can't manage their emotions. They can't deal with whatever's going on in their head. Combine that with whatever's going on outside, and if you have the patience to deal with it, then you may be fine. But I think anybody who's being abusive to you, it probably isn't worth it. You probably shouldn't be around that person anyway. And that's just my opinion. I'm not dealing with abuse, especially because the person you choose is going to be the most important person that you have in your life. This is the person going to be sleeping next to you when you get sick and when you're down. This person is going to be helping you. And to commit to that person, you're going to need to be able to, both of you are going to have to be able to maintain respect and communication and trust. And obviously, if she's lied to you already, she's already broken some trust, but the respect doesn't seem to be there as well if she's being abusive to you. So, in my opinion, I would not go forward. That's me. I don't know, you have different traditions being Muslim, but I would not do that. Let's see what else we got. I'm going to close this window. One of my favorite topics are, am I the asshole? And some of these are really good. This is really long. I don't think I will read all of this. Some of this stuff is like, this is a lot. But No Tap 651 says, am I the asshole for telling my husband I don't finish when we are intimate? Let's just read the gist of this. But I, 24 female, which is pretty young in my book, have been married to my husband, 27, so he's a little bit older, for 3 years, and together with him for 6. I've always faked it, if you understand what I mean, and I have always had an issue finishing. He's amazing at what he does, and honestly, I wish I could have the big O with him. A couple weeks ago, we were watching a podcast on YouTube, and the topic of women faking when they finish came up. My husband and I were on the couch when he chuckled and said, I'm glad you don't fake yours. I didn't respond because I didn't know if I should have. That's when he looked at me and asked me if I did. I stayed quiet for a little before I nodded and muttered out a small yes. I could tell something in him shifted. He wasn't angry, more like he was sad. He immediately started asking me if he was, I shouldn't be smiling so hard, but it's kind of funny. But he immediately started asking me if he was doing something wrong, if he needed to do more, if I wasn't attracted to him, etc. I stopped him and reassured him that he's awesome. Everything he does feels amazing, but I just can't finish. It doesn't have nothing to do with his performance. So I'm going to stop right there for a second. That is wrong. Don't lie. Like, that's one of the worst things you could do is, like, if you're not, like, I always say it, it's about respect, trust, and communication. If all relationships, these are the pillars of a relationship, is respect between both man and woman, or whatever your preference is. It's about communication, about what you need, what you like, what bothers you, what doesn't. These things all need to be communicated. Something, and then when something comes up, you have to be able to talk about it. You're supposed to be able to tell your partner what's wrong, or I have a problem with this. And that person should be able to communicate back to you that they understand it, that they can do something about it, they can fix it, whatever it is, or But basically, two people communicating to be on the same page with each other. But then and obviously the trust factor, which is lying, cheating, anything that's deceitful to the other person. Once you break that down, then you start to erode the foundation of the relationship. Lying, just like that, it's a small lie, but it's enough to break his confidence down to where he feels like he's been betrayed all this time. Y'all been together for 6 years. That's a long time to just kind of be unsatisfied, and now that's playing into his mind. It's like, wow, you could have just told him the truth. You should have. Like I said, this is a lot. Says she talked to some close friends. Okay, here's an edit. It's now almost 4 a.m. where I live, and we've been up all night talking. He's read literally every comment, and so have I. We both agree with the harsh words and the kind words. I let him read over everything, and I said everything, and I responded, and a lot of what you guys had said. He's still sad, and he's not angry. He's been asking me how I feel about it, and I feel like the biggest asshole on earth. Yeah. Okay. Say one thing I'm gonna try my best to do is stay away from like the essay stuff. Just as a rule of thumb, just because I don't want to get into that. Anything. I don't want to speak on that for other people, But as far as this goes, yeah, that she just needs to be honest. And then my understanding is there's always a way to work around something like that. Just communicate with him, help him figure out how to do it, because I believe everyone's different, and everyone needs to learn how to love. And every single person in this world is a little bit different. So every person you're with, you're going to have to learn how to love that person and learn how to satisfy that person. And you figure those things out. Whatever a man or whatever you're doing with your last person, that may not be what gets the next person off. That may not be their thing. So you're going to have to figure out what their thing is. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if we're talking about one person, anyway. Here we go. Got one. I'll open this up. Okay, not too long. So Sky C 1503 says, am I the asshole for telling the guy I'm dating that he'll never meet my parents? I, 22, female, started dating my coworker, Josh, male, 28, about 3 months ago. We get along great and we're on the same team, so we basically spend all of our shift together and on a Teams call. We also see each other on days off to go eat somewhere and spend the night at his place. It's always just the two of us and occasionally some colleagues from work who know we're dating. Since we became a thing, he has always made it very clear to me that he wants a casual relationship and that I'm not his girlfriend or vice versa. We don't post each other on social media or interact with each other's friend circle. This arrangement works great for me, as I'm also not looking for someone I have to post on my stories or take with me to my cousin's wedding or something like that. The issue started this past week when I was discussing some family drama with him and one of our mutual friends, or work friends. I was talking about how my parents are very conservative people, and especially in regards to dating and marriage, and how I, unlike my cousins, have never introduced them or the rest of my family to anyone I've ever dated, and how I never plan to unless I know I was going to marry them. Our friend joked that they would hate Josh since he has a bunch of tattoos and piercings and has a general bad boy vibe, to which he replied something along the lines of, your mom's not really like that, right? She won't kick me out of the house if she sees my tattoos and my bike. I honestly thought he was just joking, and he said he shouldn't, and I said he shouldn't worry about that as he'll never meet her anyways. Ooh, that's harsh. As soon as he dropped his smile and felt, as soon as I said, he dropped his smile and I felt the room tensing up. I guess our friend noticed too, because she just mustered up an excuse and left. I was left alone with him. I tried to ask him what was wrong or if something. See, this is why I love Reddit. This is hilarious to me. I just find it really funny. But anyway, so I was left alone with him. I tried to ask him what was wrong or if something had happened, but he just kept saying everything was fine and also left, saying he was late for a coaching session or something. After that, he'd been really dry with me, both in real life and over text. And after a few days, he told everybody. He told me it hurtful to hear me say that, as if he was something I wanted to hide from everybody, especially since I've met his parents already. But I really don't see the problem here. His parents are much more open-minded than mine, and he always tell them I'm the girl he's seeing, not his partner, not his girlfriend. I have explained my reasoning for not wanting to do the same with my family, and they're very different from his, but he keeps saying is unfair in his point of view. Okay. Is she the asshole for telling the guy she's dating that he'll never meet her parents? In my opinion, no. I don't think she's an asshole. Maybe the way it came out, but it seems like, you know, she kind of distanced herself from him and the parents and everything like that. She probably could have went about it a little bit better. She probably could have maybe not met his parents and just maybe put that out there as far as communication goes, put that out there a little bit sooner about where she stood on parents and relationships. They they've only been dating for 3 months. Maybe it was she could have had that talk sooner, but 3 months in, hey, the guy just found out that she doesn't really see him as the one. You know, it sucks, but that's how it goes. You know what I mean? Better late than never. You know, rather find out now than, you know. And I think that's something that he should have communicated too. Like if he really wanted to go forward with her and do all that, and maybe in his mind, 3 months was enough time for him to start getting closer. And was like, okay, you know, I want to see where this is going seriously, and that's not what she wants. There's gonna come a guy, and she's gonna say, hey, you know, you want to go over this thing with my parents, and it's just not him. So, in my opinion, she is not the asshole. Let's try to find something else. All right, we got one. Would you give this woman a chance? Men's input only. Let's see. Honest question, and I mean this respectfully. Would you give this woman a chance? She's 34, a nurse, smart, sweet, and emotionally solid. She has 3 kids, a 14-year-old and a 4-year-old twins. Her first partner, the father of her oldest, was extremely abusive physically, sexually, and emotionally, and has been in prison since 2017 for trying to kill her. Damn. Years later, she wanted to give her oldest a sibling, but still was not ready to be in another relationship. So she went through a fertility clinic, and became pregnant via a sperm donor. It resulted in twins. That decision was intentional, not reckless. She's been in therapy for 6 years and has actually done the work to heal. She's self-sufficient, owns her home, has a good car, solid boundaries, and a healthy mindset. She has full custody of all 3 kids. There's no co-parenting situation and no father involved. She can go where she wants and live her life with her kids without interference. To me, this feels a little different from the typical single mom situation. Curious how others see it. Keep replies respectful. Somebody said, nope, that ex in prison would be an issue. I don't think there's a problem with this woman. The only issue would be really is if you want to co-parent, you know, and be a stepfather to those children. That's the thing. If you're not ready to be running around chasing 4-year-olds, twins, then you don't really want to step into her world, because that's really what's going to happen. I mean, if you want to date her and have a good time, I mean, you can always do that as an adult. You can go spend time with someone and have a good time, and not really, she may not even want you involved with the children. You know what I mean? But, you know, so if you just want to date and have a good time with someone, I don't see children as a deterrent from that, unless you foresee that in the future being an issue for you. You know what I mean? She may be looking for, you know, someone to come in and help support and give, you know, emotionally as well as financially and all those things. Because if you wind up getting married, that's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to wind up being, you know, integrating into this little family unit that she has already. So that's the thing. If Far Transportation 63, yeah, is if you're just hanging out, there's nothing wrong with that. You don't even have to be a part of the kids' lives. If it gets serious, that's something that you would just have to communicate upfront. Hey, you know, I know your situation. If you're looking for more then kind of casual dating, spending time, having a good time, then you're not the guy. But if she's like, oh yeah, I'll take care of my kids. I'm perfectly fine over here. I just want somebody to spend time with, then do it. If you see yourself maybe like, okay, I really like this woman and I like these children, and maybe I could, step in and yeah, I'd like to meet them and all that stuff. Then just keep that in mind that it could be a going forward. That could be a thing. Here's one. This one is by, I don't know, what is that? Kit, Kytt, Kit, Kite, EST, whatever. So he's saying, can't decide on mating strategy. Maybe I am in my own way, but I feel so distraught of my relationship that ended almost a decade ago that I can't come to dedicate myself to a single woman. I want all women and don't discriminate at all. That's interesting. I flirt with women at work, taking women I would, taking women I wouldn't be in a relationship, and women I would. It's all, it says all do unserious. I'm pretty sure they hit the wrong key. Probably meant to say it's all so unserious. And I just don't give a fuck. And apparently have no children as a 30s male. How to fix this and make myself accountable, capable of vulnerability and dedication so I would actually find a life partner. Someone said the first comment. I love it. The first comment. First, stop calling it a mating strategy. Edit. Second, stop flirting and taking women. Stop flirting with taking women. Oh, okay. He was saying women that are probably already in relationships. So, but no, I mean, at the end of the day, man, if you don't want to be in a relationship, like, you must feel bad about it or something. You must feel some type of way. It must be a reason why you want to, you feel distraught about it. Because if you don't, you said, I just don't give a fuck. Or if you don't give a fuck, then you probably don't need to be in a relationship anyway. You'd probably, if it's so unserious and all that, then you don't need to try to pretend to be in a relationship with somebody. And if you're not even feeling it and you're just playing games. And that's one thing. Once I got to a point where I'm like, I'm just not playing any more games, because it is all a big game. It's a whole lot of chasing, cat and mouse thing, and jumping through hoops and all these different things to try to impress a woman. And we got to play this like tit for tat thing to show interest and do and this like whole build up thing just to find out whether this person even likes you at all, like even wants to continue talking to you. It is a game. And if you're single and you enjoy that and you like that and talking to different women and then just keep doing that if that's how you feel. There we go. Okay. So let's get right into it. We got one here from Bigger Man. Ginger Man. Anyway, he says, girlfriend, 23 female, made a joke to me, 23 male, about other men's privates, which isn't sitting right with me. How do I continue from this situation? Hey all, I'll try to make this quick. I am my girlfriend's first sexual partner past kissing. She has dated 2 people as a teen, but never went past kissing as she was in a religious household. I have dated 3 people and had sexual relationships with all. My girlfriend's sense of humor is very similar to mine, but also very consistent. She doesn't veer from her usual jokes ever. Today, at the end of a call, when we were wrapping up, she joked about going out to get filled with melanin. Oh shit. The exact context is forgotten, but this comment was not related to our conversation. I asked what she meant, and she refused to summarize it. So when I asked her if it was about black, it's blanked out, but I'm gonna say black penises. She said, yeah. Now, for me, I was just confused because we are both pasty white. I then remembered that one of her exes was black, and we had been talking about exes earlier on in that conversation. I do not care about any porn stereotypes on black men. I myself am lucky in the downstairs department, but what doesn't sit right is why her joke was so far away from her normal humor. Like, what did she think I would say when joking about that? It's given me a bit of an internal ick, and it's not going away despite speaking to her about it. Hmm, this is interesting because basically he's upset about a joke, and she was obviously joking. I mean, and he said they joke all the time, and he wants to know how do I continue from the situation. Well, I guess the thing is, do you feel insecure about it, or do you really feel like she's gonna go out and go get a black man to fill her up? Is that what made you feel uncomfortable about it? Um, is it the fact that if she, the type of character of the person she is, that she would even joke about something like that with you? Maybe it's just a boundary thing. Just have a conversation like, hey, it's simple as that. Like, I don't want to hear jokes like that. I don't like joking around about. I don't think there's a man on the planet that wants to hear his woman talk about another man's penis. Period. It just, man. And it's funny because some men will ask about another man's penis just because he's insecure about himself or he wants to know. And I think it's one of those things like you shouldn't even be asking. Don't ask questions you don't want the answer to. Don't do it. You know, don't don't even open up that can of worms because you may not like the answer. You know, don't go asking about the sizes of other men and all that. That's actually kind of weird anyway. But the point is that nah, just leave that alone, sir. And that's something that you got to deal with. If you feel like you could just move on, say, you know what, all right, whatever, it was a joke, that's fine. But if you feel insecure and you feel like as your woman, you don't want your woman making them type of jokes. If it made you feel uncomfortable, you could say something, or you can just remove yourself from the whole thing. Hey, go get yourself some melanin dick then, if that's what you want. So that's up to you. But I don't think it was a big deal. But maybe I don't think it's a big deal. I don't think it's enough. It's worth like breaking up over or anything. But definitely, I can understand why you'd be uncomfortable, and you might need to just set some boundaries as far as your jokes. There we go. Let me see what's up. Ask men. Ask men advice. Let's see. North Class 3357 says, have you ever ended a relationship over physical traits? Uh, Rethinking a relationship I had earlier this year. Great chemistry, super fun. We could talk deep stuff, or just keep it light. Highly attracted to her, but when we finally got down to business, she told me her bra was a little deceptive, meaning it was adding significant volume to her chest. Boobs guy, meaning that holding and caressing them is a really important arousal activity for me. I'm happy with a pretty broad spectrum, but flat chests are not attractive to me. In this situation, if anything, she was understating how deceptive the bra was. It was that she had small boobs. There was essentially nothing there at all. It says edited to hopefully be less offensive. It was early enough in the relationship that I ended things soon after, and obviously didn't say why. But I was sad because it seemed like there was so much potential. Have you ever done this, or have you ever pushed through and found that you can fall happily in love with someone outside of your preference? Um, I don't know if I could really say I've ever ended a relationship just because of physical. Nah, I don't think so. But I may not pursue because of physical. Depending on how she looked at me, like, all right, I'm not gonna try to wife this one or whatever. I'm not gonna try to be with her or go out with her or something like that. But not just break up a whole relationship. Um, I mean, if it was just a relationship that you had earlier this year, it couldn't have been that long. But anyway, um, hey man, if that's not what you want and you don't think you'll be happy with it, it is what it is. Somebody else will. Somebody else will find this young lady attractive, whoever it was. Um, she probably shouldn't be walking around with a deceptive brawl. That's not cool, just because you really don't know what you're gonna get, obviously. But if you're not okay with it once he found out, depending on how deceptive the brawl was, and I mean, it is what it is. I don't think it's a big problem. It's up to you. If you want a woman with big breasts, go get you a woman with big breasts. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's gonna be someone that likes small breasts, and she'll have to find that person. But you know, but no, me personally, no. Okay, here we go. Got some dating. Out of 5 dates in 2 months, this is let's see, rumors adolescence. Okay. Out of 5 dates in 2 months, two asked me out on a second date and ghosted me. That's not good. That's well, let's see. It just recent. It's just recently that I, female 25, shared a story about a guy, male 26, I liked, who asked me out on a second date and asked for my number on the app and didn't reply for 5 days. I ended up blocking him and regretted it straight away. He might have replied later, but frankly speaking, it's more likely that he ghosted. To get over the situation, I started talking to other people. This guy, male 27, matched with me on another app, messaged me first, asked for my number, texted me there, and asked me out. The date wasn't bad. I didn't feel any great chemistry, but he was handsome, gentlemanish, and the conversation flowed. I told him straight away that I wasn't looking for an ONS. He said that he was happy with whatever turn it takes, but that he doubted that one could find a long term relationship. I could understand that one on the app. This made me suspect he was only looking for casual. He said he felt the need to tell me his red flags, one of them being a lack of empathy. When we were parting, he kissed me and then messaged me thanking me for the evening. I told him I wouldn't mind seeing him again, and he said that this was absolutely mutual. We texted afterwards, penciled in our date for Sunday or early next week. He came up with certain activities we could do. Then come Friday, and he told me that his friend had confirmed that they were seeing him on Sunday, and it was been arranged before our date. He suggested Tuesday instead, and when I asked if I could be sure about it, he was like, "It is set in stone." Yesterday, he replied to my message about my morning and even asked me a few questions. I replied, and it has been 27 hours since then. I remember that he told me he had a busy weekend, but whenever I go on the app where we met, he is constantly online. I double texted him asking if he was okay. No response so far. I realized he might crawl back later, but honestly, I'm too disappointed and don't want anything to do with him anymore. Fortunately, I'm nowhere near as hurt as I was previous time, but the numbers adding up worry me. I admit I've been on 3 other dates this month. None of these guys ghosted me. One of them being very, if not too much, eager about me. But I can't help but stop thinking if there is something wrong with me. I doubt double text or message them all day. I don't double text or message them all day. I don't pressure them into anything too early, such as meeting my friends. I never tell them it's a long term relationship or nothing. I don't even sleep with them to scare them away. The classic. It is me. Is it me or is it modern dating? Okay. Sorry about that if that was rough to get through, but first of all, let me just say I'm gonna put this out there about these dating apps. The fact is that most people are gonna meet someone that has been vetted by friends, family, or someone at work. Those are usually gonna be the best place to find someone because you've seen the person, you've spoken to the person. Um, yes, people do find love on dating apps. People even find love on uh, Tinder or whatever, right? All these different apps. But the chances are that, you're basically meeting these strangers and you have no idea what they got going on. Yes, he could have been talking to you and went out on a date with you, but he might also have 5 other dates for that month. And it's hard to create that connection. It's hard to start a connection from out of nowhere and then just build it up until you have a relationship or whatever. Um, I think a big part of it is when you meet someone for the first time and you're on a date and you're getting to know each other. You're sitting there with a stranger, but you're trying to figure out where this person fits at on the long term. Like I think it's something you can't help it. You're trying to think about like, okay, could I be with this person for a long time? And the problem with that is that you don't you won't know, and so you can make really short term judgment calls right then and there. Like she's this or she's that. No, no, I'm good. And then the dating apps make it so fast that if there's another person that's just whatever, a little bit better, a little bit whatever financially, a little bit prettier or whatever, like anything, they might just go the other way. And then the other part about that is that most men are on these apps and they're looking for sex. At the end of the day, they're looking for sex, and yeah, you might be holding out, and that's what I would suggest you do. Don't go giving it out to everybody, but at the same time, there's another woman that he can meet up with on the app in a few seconds, and this woman will be willing to, you know. And of course, come sex comes a lot of emotions, especially for women, and just like that, you you've been beat out, even if you were probably a better catch. So, the thing also I want to mention here, like I hate that a lot of people use time between messages as like a indicator of love and in like attention. Yes, everybody has their phone on them, but we're grown adults. As a married man, I may go hours without speaking to my wife because I'm at work or whatever we're doing, but she probably knows where I'm at. And that's normal for a married couple. That's normal for us to know our comings and goings and communicate that to each other often. But as a stranger, nobody owes you anything. You don't know. You can go, you should be able to go days without stalking or, speaking or talking or texting or anything with a stranger that you've never met before. 20 some odd years, 25 years you went past and you never seen this person. Now you start texting them and you expect them to text you the very next day and so forth. And from there on, You're supposed to be texting you every single day, or else he don't like you or you don't like him. You're gonna block him. That's ridiculous. Um, Realistically, you just have a healthy kind of boundary there with an expectation. That's the problem, is that the expectation is off. Have a healthy expectation, a healthy boundary for these strangers that you're meeting, this strange man. You don't know what their life is like. So give them grace. Give yourself grace. Hey, it was cool. It was great. We had a great time. Maybe we'll try it again. And then leave it at that. Okay, you text them, they ain't text you back. Okay, leave it. Leave it there. You don't need to be on top of them. It doesn't. And if they text you back a month later, hey, I didn't think I was gonna hear from you again. We had a great time last time, didn't we? Yeah, okay. Boom, and maybe you have another chance to start something. And I think that ultimatum between two people comes way too soon. What are we doing here? I don't want to, if you're going to be with me, you can't be with all these other people. And I don't like that you're talking to other people on this app and all that. Like, but you've only literally known this person for a month, 2 months, whatever the case is. Like, give it time. Now, it's different. If you meet someone out there outside and at work, and you know this person, they've been in a relationship with someone, they broke up, and they're a good person, and like you can kind of do those little kind of meetings and have those conversations, because a little bit more. Same thing with like family members, maybe bringing other people around. Usually you have a better idea about what they want, going into it, things like that. But just be smart about it. Don't be so. I think the instant gratification that we have it causes this, because you're putting too much pressure on these people that you don't know. You feel like you know them because you spent a couple hours with them, whatever, but you don't know these people. Anyway, I'm trying to find something else. Here's a quick one. Says typical price $46.52 in Am I the Asshole? Am I the asshole for not caring that my date was pre-med? I, 22 male, recently got set up with this girl, 20 female, that's a sophomore in college via mutual friends. While texting before her date, she made a lot of references of being pre-med and a future doctor, future neurosurgeon, and based a lot of opinions of hers based off of that. I'm kind of skeptical because there's a lot with asterisks. There's a lot of difference between being a pre-med and a neurosurgeon, as she'd have to take the MCAT, get into and complete med school, and get into and complete residency. During the date as well, she brought it up a few times, and she could tell I was skeptical and remarked as such, adding that I didn't seem impressed. I said what I essentially said above, that it's cool, she's passionate, and but that it's a bit presumptuous to talk about being a neurosurgeon this early on. Shut her dreams down. She got annoyed and said I was putting her down because I was intimidated by the prospect of a woman more educated than me. I don't know why I'm putting on this accent or this voice, but that's how it sounds to me. It's hilarious. That's not the case. I just think it's silly to presume so far ahead and make it your whole personality. Am I the asshole? Uh, no. Actually, I don't know. I feel like she's kind of the asshole, to be honest. Maybe it's just me. I feel like she's kind of asshole, like to keep throwing pre med around, because she's probably really proud of that, and a lot of people probably don't even make it that far. A lot of people, um, a lot of people don't go to college, and people who do go to college, not all of them are, become medical doctors and neurosurgeons and all that stuff. So she's probably trying to impress you, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that. Um, the but like you said, at this point, she's a sophomore in college. That's probably her whole life is pre med and studying to become this thing, and so she's probably super passionate about it. Who knows what those conversations were like as far as her presuming about being a neurosurgeon, but it does make me ask, what are you doing? Why she was throwing around her education and her career and everything, and for some reason that bothered you, which is interesting, but does make you an asshole for now if you said it like that, if the way you put it to her was worse than this, in a way that was kind of like, fuck you and your degree, in your med school, you're not a fucking surgeon yet. If you said it in a rude way, not gonna stand. You might be an asshole, but just based on this, no, I don't think you're an asshole. And it's possible that maybe she was being presumptuous, but she is probably just really proud. So going forward with her, maybe you should just encourage her instead of shutting her down. This is a suggestion. Uh-oh. Let's see this one. Let's see what this is about. This is another quick one. Okay. Interesting. First of all, this is from Jiggles the Biggles. Okay. Jiggles the Biggles says, I accidentally saw my girlfriend's sister's tits. This happened a while ago. My girlfriend's sister's room has a sliding glass door that leads to a patio. She was showering when I was in the patio. I didn't know she was showering, and she didn't know I was out there. She forgot to close the blinds and walked out of the shower without a towel. I saw her tits and immediately looked away. They were pretty good. They were pretty good. Smaller than my girlfriend's, but perkier with smaller, darker nipples. I still haven't been able to figure out if I should tell my girlfriend or not. Nah, don't do it, bro. Don't do it. I would not do that. You didn't see anything. Nope. What? Who? She did. She said what? Nope. Don't do it. You're just asking for a fight. Yeah. Now, if your girlfriend's sister comes around and says, "Hey, your boyfriend was staring at me through the sliding glass door," you're gonna have to defend yourself. But nah, man, I don't think you should say that. You can if you want to, but you'd be aware. It's one of those things like I'm not a liar, but you might want to omit this one. Just saying. You don't lie. If you get somebody asking you about it, oh what? No, I didn't even notice really or something. Don't an accident, whatever, but don't go out there making something out of nothing. Ooh. Okay, we're gonna have to look at this one. I don't know what's going on here, but so this is looks like a throwaway count of someone posted this, the best of Reddit updates. I don't typically go through all the updates, but I do like to go through some of the stories, because these are typically some of the best stories, obviously. And it says, my boyfriend called me by his friend's 19 female name during sex. Sorry, I'm kind of mad right now. Oh, look at this. This is 2019. I'll keep it simple. My boyfriend has this semi best friend who he has known for 2 years. We've been together for almost 1 year. He hangs out with her sometimes and goes to the gym with her. I've brought up boundaries a few times because I believe that she can get too comfortable around him, e.g., long hugs, sending him outfit pics. He brushed it off at first, but realized I was serious about it. And I'll admit that I've had a very strong urge to snoop the past few weeks, which is unhealthy, I know. Mainly because they've been hanging out more, and yes, I'm relatively jealous. She fits, she's fit and likes to show off. I don't want to see her as competition, but part of me does. So So we're having some fun, and I heard him moan something, but I couldn't hear it. Fast forward a few minutes, and he does it again. He's saying his friend's name. I stop, and he asks, "What's up?" I tell him what happened. He denies it. I'm not stupid, so I simply get up and make plans to leave. He then tells me I'm right and that he's sorry. Still, I'm pissed that he tried to play it off at first. He apologizes. I don't know if I'm overreacting or being insecure. The timing is just off, and this hasn't happened before. I've never as I've never as much as peaked at their conversations, but there's an overwhelming urge right now for me, not a native speaker. Yeah, man. Thing is that if you feel like that, there's probably something there. Like your instincts are probably telling you that there's something going on, and that's all that is. Like your little spidey senses are going off, telling you that there's something going on, and there probably is something going on. The fact that he moaned her name during sex means that either they've had sex or he's thought about it, like he fantasizes about it or whatever. But that's yeah, that's big, and good for you for not snooping. It's a good thing. Like you said, it's probably unhealthy to just snoop because most likely you're probably gonna find something that you don't like, whether it's that or something else. Is just don't go looking for something. Don't ask questions you don't want the answer to. But if you really feel like it's inappropriate, it probably is. Um, my personal opinion. I know a lot of people disagree with this, but my personal opinion is in a relationship, a serious relationship, you shouldn't have people of the opposite sex or whatever your preference is, but like other people outside of the relationship in around your relationship. It's probably not a good idea. If your woman has a male best friend and she's emotionally attached to him and spends time with him, and he's too close as far as physical touch and just things seem inappropriate, it probably is. And same thing with a man and a woman. If he has a woman best friend, it don't matter if they've been friends for 20 years or whatever. If they're really close and she's not like on the outside somewhere, that's a red flag in my opinion. That's just how it goes. You can have all the friends you want. My wife has male friends and people she speaks to from work and whoever for past and stuff like that. I don't monitor that stuff because at the end of the day, this is my household. I don't have to worry about men coming out of here or like mentioning her all inappropriate or all different times of the night, stuff like that. And she don't have to worry about that with me. So that's one of those things like you gotta, if you feel it, then it probably is something. And now this is the major red flag is him actually saying her name during sex. Yeah, it's not good. Not good. That's the and what I like to do is put the shoe on the other foot. If it was me, how would I feel? I'll put myself in the other person's shoes, or like switch roles and see how would, he feel if you were to call another man's name. How would I feel? But I think that's it. We might be done for me. Let's see what else we got. All right, here we go. Eclair's Chanel, whatever. Eclair's Chanel. In emotional intelligence, she says, been on four dates with this guy. I matched on Raya. I've never even heard of that app before. We have been talking for a month via text before our first date. It's good. We ended up having being physical on our first date, having been texting every day. There has been a few instances in which he took a day to reply or more hours than usual. Again, just because you're not, just talking every minute of the day doesn't mean there's a problem. Anyway, each date led to physical contact, and we have been enjoying each other's company. I did notice him open the app and reply to someone on the third date. Not an issue because we haven't discussed exclusivity, but he did tell me he would be deleting the app after we met. Obviously, I didn't do that. He said he's traveling and is extremely bored as there's not much for him to do. It has been 24 plus hours and he hasn't replied to me on text or Instagram. He usually sends me a reel a day. He hasn't done so either, but he has viewed my stories well within an hour of posting. Has he lost interest? I'm really confused. And someone says, yes. Computer. Oh yeah. Are you overthinking this? So what's the question? The question is, am I overthinking this, or is the question, has he lost interest? Maybe on both ends. He might have lost interest. But I think that when it comes to the texting thing, is the problem is that you're it's way too much expectations. Like, you have to manage your expectations on what a healthy relationship looks like, especially with someone that you've only met, a few months ago. Why would you think he needs to be, if you're not exclusive, why are you expecting him to be like super attentive or whatever? And that what happens is, if you're too clingy like that and you're just like super attached off the bat like that, which I can't blame you, because I understand that when it comes to sexual, when it comes to intimacy, a lot of times it's the woman, it's different for a woman, so I can understand why, you might be expecting more. And that's a lesson for a lot of men too. The fact is that as a woman, you're expecting more because you had to give a part of yourself. Whereas men, it's not that. We don't feel the same way when it comes to sex. You don't feel like we're giving up something. Whereas like a woman, you're actually letting a man into your body, which is it's a bit more intense experience, and I can understand. So you're expecting more after this, or you feel like, hey, you mentioned it. You said we've been physical on the first date, and then you said anyway, each date led to physical contact, and we have been enjoying each other's company. There's a part of you that feels like you are giving something and you're enjoying it and everything, but now you're like, well, you're expecting more in return. And it's unfortunate that it may seem transactional, and he's an asshole for that. But manage your expectations. I encourage men to be a little more sensitive with how they're going around, just willy nilly, uh, being sexual and not really understanding the consequences of those actions. But also with women, you got to be a lot more vigilant, especially with people you're meeting online on the dating apps. And it is, if you're treating it transactionally, like, that's probably how it's gonna go most of the time. And I know most men don't respect women who give it up on their first date. They're kind of like, I've heard people say, "Oh, well, you're grown, so you should be mature, and it's fine if you give it up on the first date," kind of thing. I like the fact that you talked to him for a month before actually going on that first date, and then you had sex. So it's not like he had to wait a little while. But the point is that um the thing is that if he's a good dude, and you're seeing it play out that way, and you're like, okay, you're gonna do this and be sexual because that's kind of where it led to. But if it becomes a thing where you feel like you had to do that to keep his attention, that's a transaction, and you're gonna get the bad end of that stick every time. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do one more. It says, what is that? Senior Tech Co. Says, how to be okay with being alone. 27 male. I feel like I'm ready for that special someone, and they're nowhere to be found. I've gone on several dates this year and committed to a couple of girls, and unfortunately, nothing came of them. I'm not desperate to be with someone, as I do have standards, and my life is relatively okay overall. It's just the void of being ready to get married and start a serious relationship, and lacking a partner to do that with lies heavy and puts a damper on everything else. How does one just deal with that void in the meantime? I've tried exercise, hobbies, learning, and generally keeping myself productive and busy, but that void keeps always nags at my heart. Well, you're lonely, my friend. I mean, at the end of the day, you're lonely, and that's a normal thing for human beings to be lonely, especially, um, you know, it's natural. We all want to be with someone and have that companionship, have somebody to hang out with, and there's something that you want from that you get from having a significant other that you can't get with hanging out with your friends and hanging out with your family and different people, other people. It's something that we all yearn for, is to be with someone that have that romantic love and companionship. With that being said, how does one deal with the void? Um, I think it's necessary to just try to be happy with yourself in your life first. And when you're at 100%, you feel good about yourself, you feel good about what you're doing. I think the natural way is to just have conversations wherever it is that you're going. Like you said, you do hobbies and exercise, stuff like that. People, like I've said it before, people that you are usually gonna get with is not gonna come with strangers on the app. It could, but most likely it's a lot harder that way. It's gonna be a woman at your job. It's gonna be a woman that is introduced to you from friends and family. It's gonna be a lady that frequents the same places you go, maybe the same restaurant, maybe your gym, maybe it's gonna be someone like that. You need to go somewhere where you enjoy going, whether it's a hobby or just whatever, coffee shop or whatever, and just sit there and enjoy being with by yourself. Just mind your own business. But and when you see someone and they're attractive, you see a woman, she's attractive, speak up, say something to her. Even if you don't immediately try to get her number or her Instagram or whatever, just have a conversation like a normal person. Say, hey, how you doing? I'm such and such, whatever. And that, and do it without having too many expectations right there. You don't got to turn into, oh, is this the one type of thing. Just have a conversation. If she's pretty, tell her she's pretty, give her a compliment. If she's open to it, you'll know if she's open. She's weird and she's kind of like, and that's probably not, don't go, hey, all right, yeah, it's good to meet you, and keep moving. If she's smiling and she enjoys what the conversation you had, and or looks like she might be interested, ask her for a number, ask her out, try to go a little bit further, but take a lot of that pressure off. You don't need to force it. You don't need to try too hard, expecting this. What would you put? Serious relationship and a partner, and you're looking for. And that right there is like the expectation that any woman you meet is going to be like, hey, I'm looking to get married. What are you doing? You know what I mean? You're talking to these strangers and you're like, there's nothing wrong with telling them what you want, but that, again, it's just the expectation. Go out, have a good time, and then ask the woman if she wants to have a good time again. And then have a good time. All the pressure is unnecessary. Get to know her, and then see if she wants to have a good time again. And eventually, without, okay, it needs to look like this. It needs to, we need to be like this. I need to be able to do this, and you need it. And you're putting all this pressure on yourself and on the other person. Start with enjoying yourself, and then enjoying your time with her, and then try to do it again and again. And kind of like a compromise between on your terms and on her terms when she's available. It ain't gonna be every week. She ain't gotta talk to you every day. And that's the thing. It's like, I think a lot of people get caught up in that. It's like, it doesn't, whatever you think it's supposed to look like, maybe you don't have to look like that. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, and it was a pleasure just looking through the Reddit stuff. I love it, and I hope that if anybody's watching, like, you're entertained with this as well, with people and what they're going through, and having discussions that people don't normally have. And if you're dealing with anything like this, maybe you got something out of this. Maybe you didn't. If you have any comments on it, maybe you dealt with anything like that I've read off today, then comment, tell us about it. We'll have a discussion about some of the stuff that's happening in these Reddit posts. And I'll put out another video soon. I'm gonna try to keep a schedule. Let me know if you enjoyed the video, you enjoyed this type of content. Another thing I was thinking about was streaming. Should I stream it? Would people watch it if I streamed it? If I actually turned on like YouTube Live, we could have this discussion together. Just let me know. Maybe we'll get that set up, and I'll start live streaming this, and we can go through some of this crazy stuff together, and fix all our issues, So thank you again for watching. See you next time.